Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be working with the Spellbinders stamp of the month. And here's the card I created, and here are the supplies I'll be using. So I have my stamp block, I have my Versamark for embossing, I have my anti-static tool, an embossing powder in both clear as well as gold, and I have these Ohuhu markers, alcohol markers that I'll be using, and distress oxides in peeled paint as well as mowed lawn. I have these scissors because I'll be doing some fussy cutting. And here is the stamp set of the month for Spellbinders. Really pretty. I have some cardstock here, panels, mirrored cardstock, and my base. I have my MISTI and my heating tool. So let's get started. I'm going to start with this panel here. And my thought process was, in this stamp set, it has a tiny sprig of pine. And I thought it'd be nice to do a border all the way around this panel in, green, in two different shades of green. And then I would heat emboss them in clear to just give it some shine, some interest, some texture. So I've never heat embossed on top of oxides before, so I wanted to do just one side at a time. I wasn't sure how long it would stay like wet enough to grab the embossing powder, so I just do this one side first in this one color, and then you'll see I'll heat emboss it with the clear over top, and it stuck just fine and it embossed beautifully. And then once this is done, I'll go in with the other color and put another layer on top of what I just did. I thought the two colors would give it some depth as well. So I was really happy with that. So I melt this down, and then you'll see I'll grab the other color and stamp kind of in between in the open spaces to just kind of fill it and make it full. So you'll see here, I take the other color and I start stamping around. And then I'll throw the embossing powder on top of this and heat it up. And you'll notice right here, yep, huge accident with the embossing powder, but I powered through. I was a trooper. I kept going. So I end up cleaning this up, and I finished the rest of the border off camera just because I had such a mess. There was embossing powder everywhere. So you'll see the panel finished right here. So I was happy with that. Okay, moving on, guys. Onward and upward. So on this panel, I'm going to stamp down the pretty much the main piece of the card, which is the diamond shape. Now, this stamp is actually really intricate. It has pine needles. It has some berries, poinsettias, a couple other little flowers and leaves, but it's very tiny work. So I was going to color this in, and I do, but it's very small spaces, just so you know. But I thought it'd be really pretty to heat emboss this in gold and then color it. So that's what I'm doing here. Carefully sprinkle some gold embossing powder over it. And there it is there. It's very pretty. So I do a couple layers of this just to make sure it's nice and embossed, and I just had one little spot I need to clean up right there on the edge. And then we're gonna heat this up and get to coloring it. So like I said, it's very intricate. This would not be a good stamp to emboss in like chunky embossing powder. Super fine, extra fine embossing powder would be nice because you'd lose a lot of that detail. But this worked out nicely for me. So just heat this down. Just clean up a little bit. And then we're going to get to coloring. So I decided to use two different shades of red for the flowers and the poinsettias. I don't know why this looks like hot pink on the screen, but it's actually like a deeper red. I'm doing the insides of the flowers in this red, and then the tips of the leaves, or the petals on the flowers, I'll be doing in a lighter red. And like I said, it's very intricate work, so I'm pretty much just dotting around as I'm coloring. It's a little difficult for you to see um, the true colors here, but in a little bit I end up tipping this up kind of towards me, which allows some shadowing, and you'll be able to see the true colors in a moment. I was trying to avoid having my head come into the screen, so some spots were a little difficult for me to see, so I end up turning the card upwards so I can take a look at what it was looking like, and I start filling in, and you'll be able to see the true color here. So I'm just doing all the berries, all the flowers all the way around, and then I'll be taking the green, and I'll be doing the pine needles and the little leaves all the way around. Um, I also decided, I was up in the air with this decision. I wanted to add a little bit of depth and interest to the actual diamond part. So while it's very pretty and very, you see I tip it up here, you can see the color a little bit better. While it's very, intricate, it's very pretty. The diamond to me just looked a little bit too plain, even though I embossed it in the gold. So I decided to take a very, very pale, well, the palest blue that I could find in the Ohuhu markers that I have on hand. Um, and I thought it'd be nice to kind of give it uh, like an edging to give it some type of interest, almost like it's shining, like glass or something like that. I don't know. This was, a thought in my head. So you'll see here. And I ended up liking it. So what I ended up doing is I just basically just followed all the lines of the diamond. Everything that was the embossed lines, I just kind of just put a stripe down each side. You'll see here. And it's very faint, like in real person. The ink kind of dries back a little bit lighter than what you're seeing here, but I think it added just a little something, kind of made it look like real glass or a diamond or something like that. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I was trying, but I liked it. I liked the way it looked. So you see here, it just added a little something. So now we're gonna get to the fussy cutting. So the idea was I was gonna cut around this whole thing. I was gonna put some foam adhesive behind it and kind of pop it up on the pine needle background that I worked on. So I decided there's no dye to this, so I decided to just fussy cut all the way around. And this is probably the most intricate thing that I've ever actually fussy cut out. I typically do just basic, shapes or anything that doesn't have a lot of like in and out, like petals like this or anything. So it wasn't difficult, it just took a little bit of time, but I think in the end it was definitely worth the work that I put into it. So I just go all the way around, and I'm cutting away like big chunks of paper as I go. It makes it easier for me to move the paper as opposed to trying to move my scissors around all these intricate parts. So I will just fussy cut this out, and then you'll notice very quickly this card will come together. I start gluing everything down right after this. So I'm just going around all these little petals. It was a little, fussy, appropriately. But I think it was nice. You can do this as a flat, card and just stamp this down on your panel and do everything that I just did with the coloring and embossing and everything, and just add a sentiment on it and you're good to go. But I just thought it'd be nice to add a little bit of depth and dimension by fussy cutting this out and propping it up on the card. So that was my thought process there. So now we're gonna start putting everything together. So I had some red mirrored cardstock, which I thought would be a nice layer to put behind everything, just to add some more interest and a pop of color. So that's what I'm gluing down here. And then on top of this, I will glue down that panel with the pine needles. Um, which I was very happy with. I really think it was a nice little touch in the background, and it pops really nice against the red, you know, the two different shades of green. And then right there in the center is where I'm putting this diamond shape. And I'm gonna, right here, I'm choosing the sentiment that's gonna go in the middle. This stamp set comes with a couple different sentiments, but I liked the stacked sentiment that was in it, and it says peace, joy, and love. So I thought that was perfect, you know, because the center is kind of like angled upwards, it's tall. So I thought a tall sentiment would be nice. So I'm gonna heat emboss that in gold, as you see here. And I thought that was really cute. I like the script on it as well. The stamp set's really nice. It's I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, their first clear stamp set of the month. This is the first time that they did this. It's really affordable, and I think it's really nice. I don't know, you know, how it would be in the coming months, but I was happy with this one. I'm glad I got my hands on this one. So I'm going to take some foam adhesive, as I mentioned, and I just want to pop this up in the center. And I like it. I like the way this came out, because although the way it's colored and the background being the little pine needle panel that I had made, you know, it would stand out, but I think putting it on the foam adhesive just gave it that extra little oomph and that added inches in depth to the whole thing. So I'm just lining this up right there in the center. And then I couldn't leave well enough alone. I decided to do some embellishments. I typically don't do embellishments on my cards. I don't know if you guys noticed that, because I struggle with it. I have this thing of what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Like, it's something, I don't know. Symmetry to me is a big thing. So I tend to sometimes want to go overboard when it comes to embellishments. And I know less is more when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I typically shy away from it because, you know, I struggle with it. I don't know placement. I can't figure out placement. I know you're supposed to keep odd numbers, but again, symmetry like bugs me. So here you'll just see me playing around all over the place, just moving the sequence around, trying to get my brain to be okay with how this looks. So, but I do end up using some sequence. You'll see here in a little bit I decide on a layout and just kind of go for it and stick to it. So you see I'm just lining things up on both sides so it's even, the same thing. I take some off, I move it back around, I add some more. I'm just all over the place. I really struggle with sequence. I don't know if I'm the only one. I see so many card makers, they just put like 3 little sequins on it or little dots, and it just adds such great, like a little touch. It's like a finishing touch, and I struggle, guys. I do. But this is what I ended up with, and like it or not, that's that. But this is it. This pulls it together for me, and the card is done. And I'm gonna show you in just a moment, a little slow-mo. I'm gonna pull it up so that you can see all the shine and detail of all the embossing and the sentiment, the coloring, the sequins. I'm happy with it. I think it's really cute. The die set is really, really pretty. There's a lot you can do with it, and like I said, I had different sentiments, but I enjoyed this peace, joy, and love sentiment in the center. I thought it was a nice touch. And that's it, guys. So if you're not a subscriber, please do so and leave a comment and like the video. And for my subscribers, you already know, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.